The government stressed those who intentionally sell photos of military facilities to groups endangering national security will be subject to legal consequences. Authorities noted restricted areas will provide clear instructions to prevent public entry. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A couple will appear in court tomorrow in connection with the baby corpses in glass jars case. The annual session of the country's top political advisory body closes in Beijing. And preparations for sending much-needed food to the Gaza Strip by sea. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A man and a woman were charged with illegal handling of corpses after the remains of 2 male babies were discovered in glass jars left in a Tuen Mun apartment on Friday. According to a forensic autopsy report, the deceased babies were between 24 and 30 weeks old. A couple arrested by the police in connection with the case will appear at Fanling Magistrates Court tomorrow. Mimosa Ngai reports.
The tragic tale of the 2 dead male babies at Mayhem Building in Tuen Mun continued to unfold. Police confirmed the babies were between 24 and 30 weeks old based on the initial result of a forensic autopsy. The cause and the time of death of the infants remain unknown. The police cannot confirm if they were stillborn. The babies were found in 2 glass jars filled with liquid. However, authorities said what that liquid is also remains a mystery at this stage.
身上咧係冇明顯嘅傷。
Chief Inspector of the New Territories North Regional Crime Unit, Au Yong-tak, said further tests are needed, including a toxicology report to find answers to the questions. Meanwhile, the police official said they have not found any birth records for the 2 infants at public or private hospitals. He reminded residents to seek advice from professional healthcare workers when it comes to pregnancy. The arrested couple, aged 24 and 22, have each been charged with 2 counts of illegal handling of corpses. On Friday, the police received a report from a cleaner saying the remains of 2 babies were found inside glass jars in an apartment at Mayhem Building. The jars were placed on the floor of the living room. The couples, who were tenants of the unit, moved out recently. News 9, TVB News.
The review of the Safeguarding National Security Bill continued at the Legislative Council today, as lawmakers strengthened efforts to achieve a swift implementation of the city's security law. Addressing concerns about the illegal disclosure of classified documents or information, the government emphasized the law will mainly target public officials who leak false information, causing public unrest. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The Legislative Council entered its 3rd day of scrutinizing the Safeguarding National Security Bill today. Lawmakers raised concerns about the security law's articles related to offenses of illegally disclosing confidential information. Many questioned whether the article will confuse such leaked information with state secrets.
The situation we are trying to cover is a public officer releasing false information which are held out to be confidential matters. An extreme example is this. Let's say I'm an officer from the security department. I have created a false document with a stamp of confidential on it, stating that tomorrow a foreign country will launch an attack on Hong Kong, and I disseminate the information. It is obviously untrue. If he's deliberately doing this and people believe it, it would cause chaos in society.
For example, if I say that the budget is going to hand out cash of $30,000, I may not be found unlawful, is that correct? One may not breach the law, but one may be in violation of the Civil Service Code.
The article also states that anyone who goes near, inspects, or enters a military facility will be considered as committing an act of espionage. Some lawmakers question the extent of the law's application.
Now, if someone asks these amateur photographers to take a photograph of the military base and give it to them, the photographer do not know about the intent of those who consign the project. So will they be committing the offense? If you take a photograph of the facade of the military facility, or if you simply walk by with no intent to endanger national security, then it is not an offense.
The government stressed those who intentionally sell photos of military facilities to groups endangering national security will be subject to legal consequences. Authorities noted restricted areas will provide clear instructions to prevent public entry. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The government issued a statement today condemning the Committee for Freedom in Hong Kong Foundation, calling it an anti-China organization. The administration said the group blatantly requested the U.S. to sanction Beijing and SAR officials, especially those taking part in the Article 23 legislative work. The statement wrote that the Foundation's act may constitute the offense of collusion with a foreign country or with external elements to endanger national security under the Hong Kong National Security Law. The government spokesperson singled out the Foundation's core member, Hui Wing-ting, who is wanted by the police. It said that their campaigns demonstrated the necessity of Article 23 legislation. The Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, or CPPCC, concluded its annual session in Beijing today. Sweden said it would resume donations to the UN agency aiding Palestinians. Oslo follows Canada and the European Union after dozens of countries stopped funding UNRWA on Israeli allegations that the body employed people involved in the October 7th attacks on Israel. UNRWA is hopeful of more funding in the coming weeks as Palestinians in Gaza face starvation because of a lack of aid going into the coastal territory. The U.S., meanwhile, is taking the first steps in building a temporary port off Gaza to ease seaborne aid supplies. Naswi Kareem with more.
Before I begin, I want to say thank you.
At an election rally,
the U.S. military said coalition forces shot down at least 28 drones over the Red Sea on Saturday, a day after Yemen's Houthi group targeted a Singapore-flagged vessel. The Houthis set off explosions ahead of the bulk. Pope Francis says in an interview that Ukraine is facing a possible defeat in its war against Russia and should negotiate an end to the fighting, saying they must have the courage of the white flag. David Garrett reports. And still ahead. Welcome back. The U.S. Department of Justice has reportedly launched a criminal investigation into the Boeing jetliner blowout that left a gaping hole on an Alaska Airlines plane this January. More on that in this NBC News report. President Xi Jinping sent his congratulations to Asif Ali Zardari on his election as Pakistan's new president takes office. Back locally, Hospital Authority Chairman Henry Fan said the body spent $9.6 billion on dispensing medication annually, accounting for around 10% of the HA's total expenditures. With that, the Hospital Authority will review its medication charges and the dispensing mechanism. Fan said currently specialist outpatient clinics charge $15 per type of medicine. Some patients are dispensed up to 16 weeks of medications, and that has caused much wastage of drugs, Fan said. During the fifth wave of the COVID pandemic, the Hospital Authority reduced the quantity of prescribed medicines to 4 weeks, and the outcome has been good. The HA will look into whether it's workable to limit the prescribed medicines to 4 weeks at all outpatient clinics, and then repeat the dispensing of medications. And there will be a review of the charges. Fan said the expenditures saved could be used to expand the list of subsidized drugs to improve care for the critically or terminally ill patients. The three-day Live Golf Hong Kong tournament drew to a close today. Some spectators said Hong Kong has reached an international level in organizing the showpiece. Several mainland tourists expressed hope that the city could host a golf event for the National Games in 2025.
Cool but drizzly weather marked this last and final day of the Live Golf Hong Kong tournament. Undeterred by the rain, many arrived at the Fanling Golf Course 2 hours early, with some waiting for a photo op and an autograph from their favorite golfers. Also among the spectators were Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Kevin Yeung, Legislative Council President Andrew Leung, and Peter Lam, Chairman of the Hong Kong Trade and Development Council. The LegCo president praised the event for having a great vibe, adding Hong Kong should hold more such mega events. It's the first time that Hong Kong staged a leg of the Live Golf series.
Just be able to see players up front, top 100 players up front is amazing. Just too surreal. They better choose Hong Kong next time because I'll be back 100%, no doubt about that.
It's the best in Hong Kong so far, if not the best in Asia. We already have all these guys. They love Hong Kong, and the vibe is great. Everything's great. The crowd is great. The music's great.
Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau will co-host the 15th National Games in 2025. Some mainland spectators at Live Golf Hong Kong hope the city can organize the golfing event for the national multi-sports showpiece. This tourist from Guangzhou said Hong Kong can reach an international level in holding such events and is more likely to invite golfing stars. This Shenzhen golfing fan added Hong Kong has a better golfing culture. Hong Kong has sought to host 8 sporting events in the 2025 National Games, including the track cycling and golf competitions, pending the approval of the General Administration of Sports of China. The decision is expected to be announced this year.
And Mexican golfer Abraham Ancer won the tournament in playoff after almost giving it away. The recent champion at the Jeddah football Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta singled out Kai Havertz and goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale for praise after their 2-1 home win over Brentford put them top of the English Premier League. Ramsdale made an error just before halftime when his attempted clearance bounced off Yohan Wissa and into the goal, after the Clan Rise had given Arsenal a 1-0 lead. Havertz scored in the 86th minute to give Arsenal the win, the forward having endured a difficult start to his Gunners' career after moving from Chelsea last year. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.